Hey you guys, what's up? It's Rockethouse54 here, and welcome to my list for the worst films of 2021. I'm gonna be a little bit later putting these videos out. I unfortunately didn't get started on them as soon as I should have. But yeah, so this is gonna be my list for the worst films of 2021, and I'm going to be doing my list of the best films of 2021, and then last one is gonna be the best albums of 2021. Now, there's not going to be any dishonorable mentions. I didn't really see that many bad movies this year, and if I'm being honest, like, I didn't hate any of these films, honestly. Like, I just simply disliked them. There was not one of these that I hated. I did not see that many bad movies this year. There's really only 6 movies on this list, so there's going to be no dishonorable mentions. I'm just going to get right to the point. So coming in at number 6 is The Boss Baby Family Business. This is one that I was looking forward to because I actually really liked the first one a lot. I thought it was very bright, very fun, had some great animation. It was funny, it was really enjoyable, and had a great message that kids could take away from it. It was a really fun movie. This one was just definitely a step down. Like, it wasn't like terrible or anything, but the thing is, like, oh, and one thing I was gonna say was the Netflix series that's The Boss Baby Back in Business. I'm pretty sure that one's called. I really liked the first season of that. I haven't seen anything past the first season, but I really enjoyed the first season. Like, they really take risks with their jokes in that show. It's really funny and enjoyable, that show. But in this movie, the where the problems lie is just that I actually thought the animation was a bit of a step down from the first, even though it still looked okay. It just seemed like it wasn't as good as the first. I mean, some of the creativity was good. Like, this movie's definitely very creative in the sequences it shows. And there was some really funny moments in here that, like, made me and my friend Nathan laugh really hard. But yeah, it wasn't overall just as funny or as enjoyable as the first one, which really sucked because I was really looking forward to this because the first one was so good, but it sadly did not live up to expectations. Coming in at number 5 is The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It. I enjoy the first 2 Conjuring movies. I like the first one quite a bit. It's almost a little bit of a modern horror classic. That definitely made a big impact on the genre. It kind of showed people that haunted house movies could still be scary. And the second one, while it didn't hold up as well for me on a second viewing compared to when I saw it in theaters, is still a good movie. And definitely, as far as like a lot of horror sequels go, it's better than at least a few of them. But this one, sadly, it felt like I just felt my interest waning as time went on. There was some really good uses of score and cinematography that that like did a good job in creating a really scary atmosphere. It was just overall very bland and not that scary. Even like, I really like these characters. That's why I was excited for this, because I really like the characters. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga have very good chemistry with each other, and I really like how these are directed. Even though I thought the second one was only okay, I really like how they're directed. But James Wan did not direct this one. He did the first two, and his lack of presence was definitely noticeable here. Coming in at number 4 is Midnight in the Switchgrass. Now, let me just preface this by saying if Machine Gun Kelly was not in this, I wouldn't have watched it. Now, I didn't think this was as bad, nearly as bad as everyone was saying it was, but there was definitely huge missed potential. Like, there were some really good scenes that were, like, really intense and were, like, done very well. But then, like, by the time the movie's over, like, it kind of just spits in your face in the end by having a rushed ending and like a very, like, not even half-assed climax. Like, it was like a climax that never really came. Like, you're really excited for something to finally happen, and it's about to, and then it's just like, oh yeah, here you go, this happens, it's not going to be intense, let's move on. That's basically what it was. And like, there was also like some really bad editing in some parts, and this one shot choice that just about made me want to puke. it feels like almost like there was a good chunk of this movie that was missing, even though the movie's 99 minutes, which is like regular length for a movie. The acting overall, I think, was passable. Like Emile Hirsch and Megan Fox did the best they could, but Bruce Willis looks like he's about to fall asleep for most of the time. Like, and the thing is, like, he's like front and center on this poster, and he's in the movie for what, like 7 minutes total. You know, as I said, if Machine Gun Kelly wasn't in this, I wouldn't have watched it. And the funny thing is, he even thinks the movie's garbage. So yeah. Yeah, as so overall, it's not like terrible, but they could have done a lot more with it. Coming in at number three is Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway. This was another one of those kids movies with like the Boss Baby 2 that I really enjoyed the first one. It was fun, it was lighthearted. Good voice acting, very, very bright, a nice setting and aesthetic. And it took me back to like the kids films that I really enjoyed watching when I was growing up. The direction of the first one was really, really good. As I just said, I really liked the aesthetic and the setting, and it was a very fun movie. But as with the Boss Baby 2, they seem to just kind of like throw a lot of that out. I mean, I don't really want to say that because they didn't really throw anything out, but it was just not as good. Like the charm wasn't there. The comedy wasn't all there. Like there was some pretty funny jokes, but it just felt like definitely a major step down in quality after the first one, which was very surprisingly good. But I'll be honest, I'll watch anything that this director makes. Both of these movies were directed by Will Gluck, who did Fired Up, which is like one of my favorite 2000s comedies. I love that movie so much. Like it's honestly one of my favorite summer camp movies, and it does technically count as a summer camp movie because they're at a cheerleading camp for the whole movie. Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about Peter Rabbit 2. Just for the third time this video, a sequel that just wasn't as good as the first, noticeable lack in quality, and the things that made the first one good, they just weren't that present here. Coming in at number two is Malcolm and Marie. Now, the thing with this movie is I was really, really excited about it because I'd heard like early reviews saying it was really, really, really good. And, another one location movie, I like one location movies, and whenever like a new one gets announced, I get really excited to see how they'll end up being. Because with one location movies, you have to have a really good script, and there is only two people in the whole movie. It's just Zendaya and John David Washington for the whole thing. The thing is, I am not a Zendaya fan, and seeing her play an extremely annoying character in this just made it so much worse. Like, there was some really good stuff that was like done with this movie on like the filmmaking side of things. There was like really good ideas on display, but I could not have hated these characters more. Like yes, I understand like it's a study of like fights and relationships, whatever. But the problem with it is the characters are just both convinced they're right and they don't admit their faults at all. Both of the characters in this movie just didn't even know how to listen to the other, and they're just like, oh, you did this, no, well then you did that, and yeah, it goes on like that for basically the whole movie, and it just gets really, really tiresome after a while. I really, really wanted to love this one, but I didn't. And now coming in at number one is one that I actually own physically, and if you guys saw one of my horror pack unboxings, you would have seen this. And that would be Crazy to Crazy. I mean, this is like really more of a so bad it's good movie, but I mean, it is pretty bad. Like, and the concept isn't too bad. Like, it's about a guy who's like kind of a psychopath, and then just when he's like planning to do something to this woman, he finds out that her family is like, her and her family is like just as messed up as he is, and then the tables have turned. It's a good concept and one that I've like seen done before pretty well, but this one, it just seemed like they were kind of like afraid to like really go for it. Like they were afraid to like really go further with the characters and their actions. It's, as I said, it's really one of those like so bad it's good movies, so it is fun to watch. I don't even remember too much from it. I just remember that, like, they could have done more with it. It could have been better than it was. Watch it if you want to laugh, but it really isn't a good movie. I'll just say that. Um, but yeah, so that is the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your picks for the worst films of 2021 are in the comments. Hopefully my best films of 2021 list will come out soon. That one I have to do a lot more work and preparation for. This one I didn't really because it's only 6 movies. But yeah, so as I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more content. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and remember, you guys, whenever going too crazy, say no to drugs.